Previously on the Jib, Fred Hampton was a conscientious all-rounder who involved himself in various community programs in Chicago in the 1960s. He joined the Black Panthers and rose to the ranks. An informer called William O'Neill, who, working for the FBI, got close to Hampton and tried various methods to disrupt the Black Panthers. The FBI had identified the Black Panthers as one of the greatest threats to America and were determined to take them down by any means necessary. Hello! Welcome to the Jib. This podcast is about the many and varied schemes of the many and varied U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies, organizations and committees, and how they are stupid and funny. Join us on our merry journey through space and time. Hi, I'm Barry, and you might recognize me as the president of the UCC Wargaming and Role-Playing Club for one weekend in 1997.
Well
it's true.
done.
For one weekend, I was in charge of the whole society.
Oh, what shoes must have been filled after you left that position? I tell you.
Tiny shoes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Seamus, and you may know me from Don't Tweet After Midnight.
Okay, now, Don't Tweet After Midnight. Are you still suspended from Facebook?
Not Facebook, Twitter. But
Are you
it was
still
only,
suspended from Twitter?
it was only a 12-hour ban, so I'm back.
Okay, and what did you say? Did you call somebody an unpleasant name?
Yeah. What exactly? I called Bill Maher. What did I call him? A soulless attention craving fucking whore. Something to that effect. I don't know.
And what was the bad thing you said about him?
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't untrue. I mean, you know.
Or maybe it was a bot or something set you off with it. A robot.
Huh?
It might have been a robot.
Probably.
You know.
No doubt.
Seamus, we have been talking about Fred Hampton. Do we have any more on that?
Yes, we do, my friend. Let's see where we left our hero. Last week, we begin on the night of November 13th, 69. While Hampton was in California, Chicago police officers were involved in a gunfight with Panthers. A total of 9 police officers were shot, 2 killed, 1 Panther died as well. Panther Lawrence S. Bell was charged with murder. In an unsigned editorial headline, "No quarter for wild beasts," the Chicago Tribune, one of those good papers, right, urged the Chicago police officers approaching suspected Panthers should be ordered to be ready to shoot.
Well, now we should also mention at this point, for anybody who's not aware, that there is a long-standing stereotypical bullshit thing that black men can be compared to animals.
Yes.
And they were often treated as if they were zoo animals. They were certainly treated like livestock in the history of America. So to say something like "no quarter for wild beasts," if these people are on editorial staff, they would be aware of this context, and they're deliberately trying to create this sort of impression.
Yeah, it's also really fun to listen to the Nixon tapes, and you hear then Governor of California, Ronald Reagan, have a few similar things to say about that with Nixon, and they just yuck it up. Fucking fantastic. Pieces of shit. Anyways, yep. So, November 3rd, that could be right. Oh, yeah, December 3rd. I was going back in time again. On the evening of December 3rd, Hampton returned to his Monroe Street apartment after teaching a course in politics at a local church. Several Panthers were with him when they returned home to find O'Neill, as in William O'Neill, had made them all dinner. What a nice guy. Shortly after dinner, O'Neill just disappeared. Yep. Check the fuck out. Later that night, around 1:30 a.m., now we're into November 4th, Hampton fell asleep mid-sentence while talking on the telephone to his mother.
He's had a busy day.
Yeah, as one does, right? I mean, I always fall asleep mid-sentence on a telephone. So, at 4 a.m., the heavily armed police team arrived outside the apartment. Cook County State's Attorney Edward Hammerhand organized the raid using officers attached to his office. Hampton had criticized Hanrahan, something like that. Yeah, Hanrahan. Yeah, he is. Those who saw episode 1, which I hope you'd seen that before you get this far, you probably remembered Hampton mentioning him several times in the video.
Yeah,
that we played during his speech.
Fred you should definitely go back and watch that if you haven't seen it, because this episode will make a lot more sense if you've seen 1 and 2.
Right. Right. Fred claimed that Hammerhand's war on gangs was really rhetoric for enabling him to carry out war on black youth.
Now, again, like the wild beasts thing, we can identify a certain, I suppose you'd call this, nowadays they'd call it dog whistle, right?
Yep.
Dog whistle meaning a term that a politician uses to signal one thing to hit the intended audience without alarming other people that hear it. So if you say something like, I'm not against immigration, I'm just about legal immigration, that's something you can say as a dog whistle, because the intended audience will hear what you mean to say, which is, wow, there's a lot of foreigners around, isn't there? But you can't say that.
Right.
When he's saying like war on gangs, sensible middle-class people who have no experience of the street culture will just say, okay, war on gangs, big deal. But on the ground, they'll understand that's going to be a war on black people.
Yeah. Or just people of color in general. So.
Like they used to say, even they're not even hiding it anymore. They used to say things like urban youth. And by urban youth, they meant black people. So urban somewhere. Right. And there was even an awards ceremony somewhere where they celebrated urban music. And by urban music, they meant black people. It was very strange. Like they didn't even bother hiding it anymore. Like, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Urban. Like other people live in cities besides black people.
Yeah, it's a lot of euphemisms and nonsense there. So
obviously, Hampton's up to his Hampton is up to Hanrahan's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And he called him out on it. So guess who's knocking at the door? So you got him bringing this posse to come in because now he's got supposedly justified reasons, right? Because they just had a shootout with Panthers, so obviously this guy have to have something to do with it.
In episode 2, we discovered that William O'Neill, the
FBI informant,
the double agent informant, he told the FBI that guns and weapons were being held in this apartment, right?
Yep.
So the whole thing's been set up for this night, I guess.
Yep. 4:45 a.m. The raid began. Mark Clark, who was on security duty, was sitting in the front room of his apartment. Yep.
Cool.
There was a knock at the door. Clark answered the door. Police immediately shot him.
Okay.
Shot him dead.
Okay.
It's worth noting Clark did have a shotgun.
Okay.
And his gun discharged only once into the ceiling. It has been speculated that the round was fired as he fell to the ground, or that he dropped the shotgun and it went off, based on ballistics, whatnot afterwards. Also, this was the only shot the Panthers actually fired. Hampton was sleeping on a mattress in the bedroom with his pregnant girlfriend, Deborah. Police officers removed her from the room while Hampton lay unconscious in bed. Then the raid team fired at the head of the south bedroom. Hampton was wounded in the shoulder by the shooting. Oh, I had to put this up earlier because this is our man.
How did they get the girl out without him noticing?
Because he was asleep, man. He was chilling,
Okay.
Yeah.
Fred. All right, Fred.
Hey, Fred. Fellow Black Panther Harold Bell said that he heard the following exchange. That's Fred Hampton. Is he dead? Bring him out. He's barely alive. He'll make it. The injured Panthers said that he heard 2 shots. According to Hampton supporters, the shots were fired point-blank range at Hampton's head. According to Deborah, an officer said, he's good and dead now. Doesn't sound like
It does not sound like you're interested in de-escalation.
No. Hampton's body was... Yeah. Hampton's body was dragged into the bedroom doorway and left in a pool of blood. The officers directed their gunfire at the remaining Panthers who were sleeping in the north bedroom. Brewer, Satchel, Anderson, and Harris were seriously wounded, then beaten, dragged into the street. The 7 Panthers who survived the raid were indicted by a grand jury in the charge of attempted murder, armed violence, and other weapons charges. These charges were subsequently dropped.
Hope so.
Yeah. During the trial, the Chicago Police Department claimed that the Panthers were the first to fire shots, but later investigations found that the Chicago PD fired between 90 and 99 shots, while the only Panther round that was fired was Clark's dropped shotgun.
Mm.
So
none of them went into William O'Neill.
Not yet. No.
I guess
'Cause
those
he wasn't.
shots, but a snitch ain't one.
God damn. So you ready to be disgusted? If you're not already.
Disgusted.
Yeah. So they drug the 7 Panthers out. This is
Yeah.
them. This is them carrying
They
Fred's
dragged him out of the
body.
street.
This is them carrying Fred's body.
That was taken on the very night of the thing.
That's Fred's body
Oh
there.
wow, okay.
Look at these guys. Look at their faces.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, man? Party on,
They got
man.
him.
Yeah. Look how fucking happy they are.
Yeah.
So fucking sick.
Smile for the camera, bitches.
Anyways, after the raid, the apartment was left unguarded. The Panthers countered the narrative by opening the rooms to the public and letting journalists examine them, exposing and driving home the level of violence that was used against them.
That's a good idea.
So, yep. There's are some of the bullet holes from.
Holy hand grenade. That's dramatic, isn't it?
Yep. Nothing to see there. Hammerhand and the police claimed that this was a shootout. They also claimed that Fred Hampton killed himself, had fired on them, or Fred Hampton himself rather had fired on them. Then he had been killed because the police returned fire, which no evidence of that, right?
No.
At a press conference, the police announced that the arrest team had been attacked by the violent and extremely vicious Panthers and defended themselves accordingly. In the press conference on December the 8th, police brass praised the assault team for their remarkable restraint, bravery, professional discipline, and not killing all of the Panthers present. Photos were presented, which I didn't find these ones, of bullet holes allegedly made by shots fired by the Panthers. Reporters who had been to Fred's apartment after the raid quickly were able to call bullshit on this claim. We'll say more about that here in a minute. Police investigated themselves, and you won't believe it. They exonerated themselves. They concluded that they used lawful means to overcome the assault.
When you said above there, you said that the police, someone praised them for their remarkable restraint. That's something you hear the IDF do all the time as well. When they go and start shooting Palestinian children, their first response will be, well, we showed remarkable restraint.
Right.
And we should praise our forces for the remarkable restraint they showed. The restraint, they had to hold themselves back from what they really wanted to do, which was kill everybody. So whenever you hear any kind of a law enforcement agency or an army talking about the remarkable restraint, just remember, they are not telling you what they think they're telling you. They're telling you that they're animals.
Right. Yeah, because that's exactly what he just said, right? We you know, they didn't kill them all. They obviously wanted to.
Where's my medal?
Yeah. The police called the raid on Hampton's apartment a shootout. The Black Panthers called it a shoot-in because so many shots were fired by the police. Now, in Chicago, there are two rival newspapers, the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times. Both covered this story in their own way, the Tribune being a heavily conservative newspaper and the Sun-Times considered a liberal paper. On December 11th, the Tribune published an article titled Exclusives, Hammerhand Police Tell Panthers Story. The article included photographs supplied by Hammerhand's office to depict bullet holes allegedly made by the shots fired by the Panthers in a thin white curtain door jamb as evidence that the Panthers fired multiple bullets at the police. Now, this is where the bullshit claim comes in, right? Jack Callum, editor of the Wright College News, had visited the apartment on December 6th when it was shown by the Panthers. Jack had taken numerous photographs of the crime scene. In fact, I believe that's one of his there. Jack had taken numerous photographs of the crime scene. Jack's photographs did not show the bullet holes reported in the Tribune. On the morning of December 12th, after the Tribune's article had appeared with Hammerhand supplying the photos, that evening, the Sun-Times published an article, those bullet holes aren't real. Sometimes use Jack's photo to show the alleged bullet holes were in fact nails. Yeah. So you would think that the police would know the difference by now between nails and
Well,
bullet
those
holes.
two newspapers now would have some experience, because to try and set the scene here, this was 1969, right?
Yeah, I think
Right.
Yeah,
Or 1970. Right. In
1969.
in April of 1968, Martin Luther King was shot dead. He was murdered. And there were riots in Chicago.
Mhm.
And there were riots in lots of places. But in Chicago, it got particularly nasty, and the police were very heavy-handed with black people during those riots. In August of 1968 was the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, which was subject to fairly large-scale Vietnam protests outside where they were having outside the convention center.
Right.
And the police just broke it up. The police just went in and started beating the shit out of people. Tear gas, batons, everything, for no real reason, because these are Vietnam protesters, tend to be peaceful. So what we know is that there's a police brutality problem in Chicago in that time period, in the late 60s. 1968, 1969 is the Chicago Police Department has a violence problem. And these papers are saying this. It's deeply irresponsible.
Yes. Yeah. And one's just flat out running cover. Right? I mean, working in glove with them. That's disgusting.
And that's still a problem for modern journalism, is taking press releases from the police and then printing it as if it were news. You take that press release and you use it in your story. You don't just reprint it as the story.
Yeah, it's just become, it's our team, our side. We have to champion them, right? So, and nowadays it's not even, you don't really have a left or a right. They both do the same thing now. It's just, it's
Never print
ridiculous.
press releases. Just don't do it.
Civil rights activists Roy Wilkins and Ramsey Clark claimed that the Chicago police had killed Hampton without justification or provocation, as they violated the Panthers' constitutional rights against unreasonable search and seizures. Unfortunately, a grand jury did not agree and failed to convict anyone.
Oh, grand jury. I have to stop you there.
Oh.
The grand jury bit is where I have to stop you and talk about our sponsor.
Oh, geez, again?
Yeah, this is...
Why are we doing this?
Or not?
Huh?
$10 is $10. All right?
Why can't they do it at the beginning of the show?
It's all going into the chewing gum fund.
All right.
They said when he says the thing about the grand jury not convicting anyone, then we want to do the ad. And I said, for $10, I will do the ad standing on my head, right?
All right. You're going to stand on your head?
You want to hear it?
I thought you were going to stand on your head. I was waiting.
No, not.
Okay.
They didn't ask me to. So if they did, I would. But one of them didn't know. This week's episode is sponsored by the police. Do you think there's too many black people in your city? Do you find them annoying? Have you ever wanted to beat the shit out of them, but there's so many stupid laws against that kind of thing? Join the police. Here we will teach you everything you need to know to get away with beating the shit out of black people. Basic courses we offer include how to turn a peaceful protest into a riot and basic kettling techniques. Who knows? If you play your cards right, you might even get away with murder. The police. We are here for you.
I think that was more than $10 worth, but okay.
I give 110% to everything I do.
I know you do. So, yeah, people aren't happy, obviously, right? A little bit of protest in Eswood. These are just people protesting.
Avenge Fred Hampton. I see the.
Yeah.
That's particularly a Fred Hampton protest.
Yep.
Wow. And people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, he did a Rainbow Coalition. Some
of those are probably Confederate.
Yeah.
Confederacy dunces.
Yeah, I mean, he became a much bigger threat whenever he started breaking down the divides that others created, right? So.
Oh, check out the guy with the drum. He's trouble, isn't he? He's a troublemaker. Yeah.
Is that Ginger Baker? No. January 6th, not that January 6th, 1970, a blue ribbon panel convened for an inquest into Hampton's death brought on by
What's blue ribbon?
I'm trying to tell you.
No, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Brought on by the Cook County coroner, Andrew Tillman, from the autopsy. So basically, it's the coroner inquest, right? From the autopsy records, the Cook County chemist Eleanor Berman later reported that there was evidence of barbiturates in Hampton's blood, although Hampton was not known to take drugs. So this was maybe why he was passed the fuck out.
Well, it was the 60s, man.
Oh, yeah. January 21st, they ruled the deaths of Hampton and Clark to be justifiable homicides. The jury qualified their verdict on Hampton's death as based solely and exclusively on the evidence presented to this inquest. Why the qualifier, you ask? Jury foreman James T. Hicks stated that they could not consider the charges made by the surviving Black Panthers. The survivors were reported to have refused to testify during the inquest because they faced criminal charges of attempted murder and aggravated assault during the raid.
But they didn't feel comfortable cooperating with the process.
Yeah, I wonder why. Attorneys for the Hampton and Clark families did not introduce any witnesses during the proceeding, called the inquest a well-rehearsed theatrical performance designed to vindicate the police officers. Hammerhead said that the verdict was a recognition of the truthfulness of our police officers' account of the events.
It's all optics with these guys, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, I didn't put this in here, but they actually tried to do like a video to recreate the event the police did, and they kept on failing because it didn't go with what their own version of events.
Yeah.
It was
like the JFK thing.
Yeah, it was just terrible.
Back into the left, right?
Yeah, it was terrible.
They gave up the video thing. They should have given it to Stanley Kubrick. He did great with the moon landings.
Right? Yeah. I tell you, guy could have had so much more work back then.
Yeah, he could have been a great director. That's Stanley Kubrick. Future.
Also in 1970, a federal grand jury was convened to investigate the shootings. The grand jury heard testimony from several witnesses, including members of the Chicago Police Department, who participated in the raid. Reports of the federal grand jury criticized the actions of the police, the surviving Black Panthers, and Chicago news media. The grand jury called the police department raid ill-conceived. Ill-conceived. Bad planning, guys. It said many errors were committed during the post-raid investigation and reconstruction of the events. It said that the surviving Black Panthers' refusal to cooperate hampered the investigation, and that the press improperly and grossly exaggerated stories. Shocker. However, the grand jury ultimately declined to indict anyone.
Wait. They declined. Why didn't? Why? Even after all these things.
Yes.
Nobody's going to jail. Nobody's being indicted or charged with anything. Those police guys are still on the street. Those officers. Yep. They're not even suspended without pay.
Yep. Can't do it.
Okay.
Can't do it. A civil lawsuit was filed by survivors and relatives of the Hampton Clark family. The lawsuit, known as the Hampton Clark versus City of Chicago case, alleged that the Chicago Police Department had violated the civil rights of Hampton Clark by using excessive force and engaging in a conspiracy to assassinate them. The case also alleged that the City of Chicago had failed to adequately train and supervise its police officers, which contributed to the deaths of Hampton and Clark. The case was initially dismissed by a federal judge, but it was later reinstated by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit, and unfortunately it waited until 1982, but the City of Chicago agreed to a settlement in the case for $1.85 million, which was divided among the plaintiffs. Now, the settlement did not provide any admission of wrongdoing on the part of the city or the police department. However, it did represent a significant victory for the family supporters of Hampton and Clark, and it helped bring attention to the issues of police brutality and misconduct. Now, for the other side of the story, right? The other here is the FBI. As FBI snitch informant, all-around great guy, William O'Neill, he would later admit his involvement in setting up the raid and that he, in fact, drugged Hampton. Yep. So
he was drugged?
Yep, he was drugged.
Oh, that's why... okay, because I thought it was just... he actually was drugged.
Yep.
Okay, so it was a setup. The whole thing was a setup right from the start. He drugged him, and the police were just shooting basically a comatose body.
Yep.
Lovely.
Yep.
Delightful.
Yep, and remember he provided the map, and on the map there was a big X as to where Fred was going to be
sitting. In the last podcast.
Yep. O'Neill was rewarded for his role in the raid in the form of a $300 bonus a week after Hampton's murder because he was already getting paid to be an informant. So, hey, here's $300. Good job. The FBI paid him $300 for that. Now, not only did O'Neill profit, but O'Neill's handler was also given praise by the man himself, J. Edgar Hoover, days after Hampton's murder. Quote, through your aggressiveness and skill in handling a valuable source, we are able to furnish information of great importance to the Bureau in this vital area of operations. I want you to know my appreciation for your exemplary efforts. O'Neill committed suicide January 15th, 1990.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that's the end of the story, really. There's still
committed suicide.
People trying to, go after the FBI and people for fucking straight up murdering a guy, assassinating. The state assassinated.
Organized planned assassination.
Yeah. Yes.
Of one of their own citizens.
Yep.
Who might have been a danger to their ideology, but certainly wasn't a danger to anybody's safety.
No.
Well, that sucks. That's terrible.
Yep.
And I guess when you're talking about how black people react to various authority suggestions and so on, and they seem to react negatively, they are well aware of these things, and people like me may not be.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of this for a long time. Not till recently, actually.
I saw on some American television show about how black people during the COVID epidemic were less likely to take up vaccines, And I was thinking, well, what's happening there? And then I did some research that I'm not going to talk about, but I know exactly now what's happening, why black people did not want to take the COVID vaccine,
Yeah.
So,
what's up, man?
Is it time for the current situation on the ground?
Yeah, it's called something else. What's it called?
It's called Hello There. How are you today? I forget what it's called. What's it called? Where's the news? Where's the news? What's the news?
No. Okay. Well, I'll help you out.
Okay. Keep forgetting it. What's new, right? What's new? You know what? I'll remember it now. Is What's New Pussycat, the song. What's new Pussycat? Whoa! Right, okay, that's how I remember it. Okay. So do you want to do FBI first or CIA first?
But tell you what, we'll do FBI first just because we just did some FBI.
Explain to people during this part of the show, what we do is, just before we start taping, we type the words FBI and CIA into Google. And then we hit the news tab on Google and read out anything stupid or interesting that we see. And the idea is that no matter what we talk about in past of the CIA and the FBI, right now they are also doing stupid and funny things. And Seamus now will indicate the stupid and funny things he found the FBI doing in his links that we checked just before taping, which is like 28 minutes ago.
I got or have three. I'll do the last probably one that crosses over into you a bit.
Sure.
So apparently at the FBI we're looking into this oligarch Oleg Deripaska. He's an aluminum magnate in Russia. So apparently the FBI agent who was investigating him actually became recruited by the fucking oligarch. So
that's a little bit like our first podcast. There was an element of that in the Jib, the original Jib podcast we had.
Okay, and then the next one sounds a lot like what we just talked about. FBI paid informants to sow discord in the 2020 Black Lives Matter. Wait a minute. I thought COINTELPRO was over with.
Yeah. That's the same, exactly the same shit they were doing with William O'Neill.
Yeah. What the fuck? It's fucking insane.
They run false flag ops. What they do is they'll go into an anti-fab protest and start smashing up things, and they say so they can say because these anti-fab people are violent,
We had was it the George Floyd one where they had it was actually a police officer that they caught like destroying property and stuff.
It's been confirmed false flag ops.
Yeah.
Embarrassing,
Yeah. False flags wasn't just a Alex Jones thing. These things are real. So, which actually, one of the worst things about the, I know it's going to get off the rails here real quick, but the latest JFK files that got dumped.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about, this is like shortly after Trump came in office. Everybody was like, oh, well, yeah, we didn't really hear anything about, who pulled the trigger and all this. But one of the things that was right there was that the CIA was talking about bombing a city in Florida and blaming it on Cuba so they can invade.
Yeah.
And everybody was just like, oh, that has nothing to do with Jake. I'm like, what? That's a false flag.
That is.
The CIA was going to bomb one of our own cities.
They were desperate
Jesus.
to do something about Cuba. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking crazy. Okay, before I sound more tinfoil hattish. So the other big news is another gentleman who was part of the civil rights movement, Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, or as we call him, Martin Luther King on cocaine.
Malcolm X was also assassinated back in the 60s, but now his family is suing the FBI, NYPD, and the CIA. So,
Why?
because they believe that there was information that they have not released.
Okay.
And there's a lot of doubt to the actual people who pulled the trigger.
That seems very relevant to what we were just talking about today.
Yeah.
Okay. Will we try the CIA stuff?
Yeah.
This is what I have in the CIA. I have two. Well, I didn't include the Malcolm X one because you did the FBI one. And the first one is doctor described. This is in the New York Times, so I'm not licking this off the stones, right? This is the New York Times. Doctor describes and denounces CIA practice of rectal feeding of prisoners. In hearing at Guantanamo Bay, an expert gave graphic public depiction of torture after the September 11th terror attacks. And by the way, in this, they don't say this, but an internal CIA investigation determined that torture of Guantanamo Bay prisoners produces no useful intelligence.
Exactly.
My second link is...
Well, wait a minute. Didn't South Park do an episode on the whole rectal thing that you eat through your ass?
I don't think it's...
Well, not the CIA, but about trying to eat through your anus. So maybe that's where that was inspired. Or maybe they were running cover for the CIA.
If the CIA is being inspired by South Park, that would explain a lot. It would explain a lot of their issues. My second hit is about the CIA. Why is the CIA at SXSW, which I think is called the South by Southwest Film Festival, right?
Okay, yeah.
The CIA will host a panel at this year's SXSW, and it turns out it's not their first festival. The government organization known for its covert tactics posted a Canva-esque graphic to Twitter to announce their spies supercharged tech in the CIA panel at South by Southwest 2023, and people were quick to respond. So that's online there if you want to read it as well.
Oh my goodness.
I guess that's the thing about the CIA, isn't it? Hello, fellow students, or whatever Steve Buscemi said in that movie.
Oh my goodness. So they're playing a role at the fucking film festival.
It's their outreach program, the CIA outreach program, yeah.
Is John Krasinski there to help it out?
Krasinski, that wouldn't surprise me. We should really, the CIA did great work. We should learn to appreciate them.
I owe them everything. I really do. The CIA is something that we should all not only cherish, but be saying thank you every single day.
Stick to your quiet place, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. So, yeah, that's it.
That's our three-parter on Fred Hampton completed.
Yeah.
What's next? Will I tell him?
If you want to, go for it.
Next episode we are planning is it will be called PB Success, and I'm not going to tell you what it's about because you'll learn when you see it, and you'll be happy about it.
And we may have a guest for this episode.
We may have a guest for it that I'm also not going to spoil. But we may have a special guest for PB Success.
Yeah, it'll
PB Success is the official term, by the way. It's not something I'm calling it. PB Success is the official CIA term for this. So if you want to Google it, you'll know exactly what it's about.
I always think of peanut butter jelly when you say that.
Peanut butter success.
Yeah, peanut butter success. All right, folks. So this will resume our normal bi-weekly release. So we'll see you all here in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.